Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're exploring something pretty fascinating, the world of spiritual mentors.
Yes, and we've got some really unique source material here. It's one individual's personal reflections on their experiences with three quite distinct teachers.
Right, Maharaj Ji, Mafu, and Zoran.
Exactly. And what's valuable, I think, is how personal it is. You get a real ground-level view of how someone learns and grows under these different kinds of guidance.
Yeah, it's not theoretical, is it? It's lived experience. And for you, our listener, especially if you like getting to the heart of things quickly, well, this deep dive aims to pull out the most important insights from the author's journey.
It's like a shortcut to understanding different ways people approach self-discovery.
So our mission today is basically to unpack the kinds of wisdom each teacher offered and maybe see what lessons about personal growth might click with you. Sound good?
Sounds great. Where do we start?
Let's begin with the first one, Maharaj Ji. The author met him in India, right? When they were quite young.
Yeah, only 13. And the description is, well, pretty vivid. Incredible, apparently very funny, known for one-liners, and just, bright, full of life.
And the relationship wasn't formal, was it? It sounds more like a friend who was also a teacher.
That's exactly how the author puts it. Best friend and teacher rolled into one, which must have been quite motivating, encouraging that self-exploration.
I can imagine. How does that kind of dynamic, that mix of friendship and teaching, actually help someone grow, do you think?
Well, the friendship part probably builds huge trust, right? Makes you feel safer exploring maybe difficult things about yourself. And then the teacher part gives the structure, the wisdom.
Okay. And Maharaj Ji had his own mission, too. Something about meditation.
Yes, a big one. Apparently, he wanted millions to practice meditation and travel the world helping people. So that gives you a sense of his drive, his energy.
But he wasn't your stereotypical guru hiding away in a cave.
Not at all. And this is where it gets really interesting. He wasn't a hermit. He was married, had kids, was involved in the world, even wealthy, liked to play games.
Wealthy. That often draws criticism in spiritual circles.
It did. The author acknowledges that criticism, but offers a different view, seeing it as potentially manifesting dreams, creating happiness even within the material world. It challenges that idea that spirituality means total detachment.
So he had this serious, highly intelligent side, but also loved games and wasn't afraid of, well, living life.
Exactly. A complex figure.
Yes.
It forces you to question those neat boxes we sometimes put spiritual teachers into.
So given all that, what were the key lessons the author really took away from him?
I think the biggest one was personal responsibility. The idea that you are responsible for your own life, your own journey.
That's fundamental.
Yeah. And Maharaj Ji apparently gave advice on how to live. His talks were inspiring, and it led to this major personal shift for the author, a transformation that's still ongoing years later.
Wow, a lasting impact from that early age. Okay, let's shift gears then. Let's talk about Mafu, channeled by someone called Amaji.
That's right. And the author stresses right away. Radically different from Maharaj Ji.
Before we dive in, for anyone listening who isn't familiar, what does channel generally mean in these kinds of contexts?
Well, typically channeling refers to a process where someone, like Maji here, acts as a kind of conduit, allowing their consciousness or body to be used by another entity, in this case, Mafu, to communicate or interact.
Okay, got it. So Mafu's approach, different how?
The early meditations sound very different. Guided, lots of imagery, drawing on ancient wisdom from many different cultures, including some described as non-earthly.
Non-earthly. Okay, that's definitely different.
Yeah, suggesting maybe a broader, more, let's say, esoteric knowledge base.
And what was Mafu's core message? Was it similar to Maharaj Ji's focus on responsibility?
There's an echo, definitely. The main theme was individual empowerment, the idea that you, the individual, are in charge of your own development, your own evolution.
So similar theme, maybe different angle?
Perhaps more focused on the power of your thoughts, how your thinking actually shapes your life, and how you can empower yourself that way. Understanding emotions was key, too.
And the connection, again, sounds quite personal. Feeling like a best friend, treated as equals, aiming to find the way to come home. What do you think coming home signifies here?
It probably means different things, but likely a deep sense of finding your true self, maybe inner peace, belonging, perhaps connecting back to some kind of spiritual source. It's a very evocative language.
It is. And Mafu's personality comes through too funny, emotional-wise.
Yes, incredibly funny, great sense of humor, but also highly emotional. The wisdom apparently touched people deeply. Powerful prayers mentioned, too. and the meditation technique seemed key, described as opening doors to the self.
The author also mentions effort, right? That it wasn't just passive learning.
Absolutely. A reminder that even with a guide, you have to do the work yourself. Transformation takes effort.
And Mafu's teachings changed over time.
They did. About 4 years in, the author says old Vedic wisdom and meditation techniques were introduced.
Vedic wisdom, that's the ancient Indian stuff, right? Foundational.
Exactly. Rooted in Indian philosophy and spirituality. So bringing that in added another layer, maybe grounding some of the more out there concepts in established practices.
Interesting. Now, the author didn't have loads of direct one-on-one time with Mafu.
Apparently not. Limited personal interaction, but they still saw him as a really good friend and teacher. Got a lot just from being in the audience.
And others in the audience had big experiences too, visions and things.
Yeah, visions about the past, profound experiences. It suggests the group energy itself was powerful.
Like that retreat in Oregon the author mentions, that sounded intense.
Right. A spontaneous trip after a friend called. They use Vedic meditation techniques there. The author describes this rainbow stream of light experience in the temple. Felt awkward at first, but ended up being wonderful.
Even wanted to move the family there.
Yeah, though it didn't pan out. But clearly, a very positive and impactful time. The author seems to really believe in the good work Amaji and Mafu were doing, calls the audience as entertaining and enlightening.
Okay, but then there's that really specific anecdote from Arizona about the author's lips.
Ah, yes. That one definitely stands out. Mafu apparently asked about the author's lips and then revealed this idea, well, quite controversial.
Saying the author hadn't been on Earth for 35,000 years and had the same body chemistry as in ancient Egypt.
Right. And existed as an unlimited being for 34,000 of those years.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
How do you even process that? Cellular memory. Past lives on a grand scale.
It definitely pushes into those areas. Beliefs about information stored in our cells, connections across vast timelines. It really challenges our usual sense of self and identity.
And Mafu connected this to ancient wisdom, too. Vedas, Egypt, Native American traditions.
Yes, presenting it as drawing from these ancient sources, offering pure, simple knowledge for those seeking it some apparently never shared before. It positions Mafu as a conduit for some very deep old wisdom.
The author even includes a snippet of the actual conversation about the mouth and the 34,000 years. Very direct.
It is. And the author tries to frame channeling, offering that analogy of a phone call between dimensions, while also acknowledging the subconscious mind could play a role. But clearly the information received felt valuable.
And the description of Amaji channeling her physical size changing. That really pushes the boundaries of a human-only universe, doesn't it?
It certainly challenges a purely human-centric view. The author wraps up the Mafu section, feeling hopeful about a kind of spiritual evolution, driven by individuals changing themselves and feeling glad for beings like Amaji doing this work.
A powerful note to end on for Mafu. Okay, third teacher, Zoran, channeled by Makara.
Yep. And again, noted as different from the others. The author felt an immediate friendship, like right from the first meeting.
And the teaching style, also different.
Radically so, it sounds like.
Right.
Primarily through play and laughter.
Play and laughter. That's a contrast to maybe the intensity or deep wisdom focus we heard about earlier.
It is. It suggests maybe a lighter path, learning through joy, spontaneity. The focus is on the child's aspect of oneself.
The inner child. So accessing joy, innocence.
Probably something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But importantly, it wasn't just play. The author stresses Zoran possessed great wisdom too and led incredible meditation experiences, like the body disintegrating into light.
Wow. Okay, so profound experiences, but approached through joy. And they spent a month together in Mexico.
Yeah, which implies a really close, immersive learning period.
Did Zoran share any core ideas with Mafu?
Yes, one big one came up again.
Yeah.
You are your own master. Teacher's guide, but the work is yours. That personal sovereignty piece.
Seems like a consistent thread across these different approaches.
It does. Zoran's whole philosophy sounds like enlightenment through ecstasy. Meditation is joy, loving life, not seeing it as this big struggle.
That's an appealing philosophy. And Zoran had a backstory too, something about another planet.
Apparently so. A planet called Nucleus, where he taught about energy's innermost secrets. And he was supposedly responsible for giving the author a tour of his ship at some point, mentioned elsewhere in the writings.
Okay, that adds a whole other cosmic layer.
Definitely broadens the picture. So if we look at all three, Maharaji, Mafu, Zoran, the author kind of distills what they learned uniquely from each, right?
Yeah, they mention learning about emotions, particularly from Mafu, and meditation, especially with Zoran, and the power of thought, mainly Mafu again, but you can see how it links to Zoran's idea of mastery too.
Right. Different facets of the same journey, perhaps. And the crucial part is these weren't just interesting encounters. The author says they've integrated these tools into daily life for years.
That's the real test, isn't it? Whether it sticks.
Exactly. And there's this real sense of respect for all teachers from all backgrounds, this feeling of being in this dance together.
I liked Mafu's analogy about the weakest link.
Yeah, only as strong as the weakest link. The idea that strengthening yourself actually strengthens everyone, like a new step in evolution.
And that feeling the author had meeting Mafu like a long-lost brother from ancient Egypt, that speaks to a really deep, perhaps past life connection.
It suggests layers of connection beyond just this lifetime. We also get a bit more on Amaji called A Beautiful American Saint, the only American woman ordained a Swami by an Indian order after some serious tests. Quite an achievement.
And Mafu himself, an enlightened lord from Christ's time, working on a consciousness shift now.
That's the description given. An enlightened being who had his awakening as a leper on Mount Vesuvius, now part of a global group helping humanity shift, with a specific group in Oregon focused on personal basics.
It's also mentioned the author was told about Mafu before Amaji started channeling him.
Yeah, by their own guides, apparently. Anticipating him as a teacher suggests a kind of predestined connection.
And most of the interactions were spiritual, not physical, but that first personal meeting in LA sounds like it was overwhelming.
Very moving. Mafu apparently offered the author anything they wanted, riches, and the author just smiled, feeling this immense love and compassion, like meeting that long-lost friend again.
Wow. Just a smile.
Speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And there's still connection to the Oregon group through friends, sharing experiences, even if maybe on a different level now. The author mentions a period of daily seminars, and now living in Hawaii, the focus is more on cultivating the experience internally.
So it's clear these three mentors, Maharajji, Mafu, Zoran, they all had these incredibly diverse yet profound impacts.
Absolutely. Different paths, different styles, but all leading towards growth and self-discovery for this individual.
And for you listening in, maybe you resonate with one approach more than another. Even without having these specific kinds of teachers, maybe it gets you thinking about the different ways guidance can show up in your own life.
That's a great point. It's not always a guru figure, right? Inspiration and guidance can come from many places, many people, if you're open to it.
Definitely something to consider. Maybe reflect on who or what has acted as a guide on your path. And just to leave you with something to chew on, think about that concept Mafu mentioned, being an unlimited being. Just as a thought experiment, you know?
Mhm.
Could even, considering that possibility that maybe you're not defined by your current limitations, could that shift how you see things, how you see your own potential? It's definitely provocative.
It really is. Something to ponder long after this deep dive ends.
Indeed. Thanks for exploring all this with us today.